Hello, and welcome to this Innovation Fireside chat as part of ULI's virtual fall meeting. My name is Marta Shantz, the Senior Vice President of ULI's Greenprint Center for Building Performance, and I will be moderator for today's session. As a little background, ULI Greenprint includes a community of real estate owners, investors, and developers committed to leading the market and advancing sustainability across their portfolios through measurement, benchmarking, knowledge sharing, and implementation of best practices. Greenprint and its real estate members strive to reduce greenhouse gas emissions 50% by 2030, and also to achieve net zero carbon operations by 2050. Greenprint's innovation partners are technology and service providers who contribute innovative best practices that advance sustainability within our Greenprint real estate members and throughout the built environment broadly. And so this session is part of a 4-part series in which Greenprint's innovation partners are joined by Greenprint members who have benefited from their services for a fireside chat. I am joined by Eric Bill from AutoCase and Jill Ziegler from Brookfield, who will in just a moment talk through how their firms work together to help promote and innovate on sustainability within real estate portfolios. So with that, Eric and Jill, take it away.
Thank you very much, Marta. Appreciate that. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. My name is Eric at AutoCase, and I've got a brief agenda to walk through, but I think today the goal is, as an innovation partner with ULI Greenprint, to share our technology and our analytics and how they support members such as Brookfield. And so today really just to better understand what it is that we've done together in our collaboration, how Brookfield leads their space in sustainability ESG, how our analytics and our software platform AutoCase supports folks like Jill and firms like Brookfield, and specifically get into details around mixed-use pilot projects that we conducted within California, share results of 2 of those projects, and learn some of the insights that we were able to garner from that, as well as our future collaboration. Jill, just over to you. Quick intro.
Hi, thanks, Eric. Glad to be here. I'm Jill Ziegler. I work for Brookfield Properties Development Group. I head up sustainability and ESG for that part of our business. Eric, do you want to do a quick intro of you?
Yeah, sure. Hi. So I'm Eric Bill. I lead AutoCase's economic research for our SaaS products as well as our advisory arm. So lead a team of economists and collaborate with our team of software engineers and really just create analytics to help to solve the challenges that some of our clients in the world of real estate and architecture have. And so great to be here. Over to you.
Yeah, so I wanted to provide some context about Brookfield, which is a very large company, before we dive into the specifics. Brookfield is one of the world's largest asset managers with more than $500 billion of assets under management globally. We have 4 main areas of focus for our business, as you can see below: infrastructure, renewable power, private equity, and real estate, which is within our property group, and that's really the biggest area of our business. Where I sit is within our mixed-use development group, and we're primarily focused on development within the US and Canada. On the next slide, you can see a little more detail around the real estate arm, the property group within Brookfield. We have a lot of assets under management in a lot of different sectors, and that's just a demonstration of when we are focusing on ESG, we have a lot of opportunity to be really impactful in a positive way when it comes to sustainability. Next slide. Our ESG vision is pretty standard triple bottom line stuff. The next slide, you'll see the 4 principles we focus on: health and safety, environmental impact, being good stewards in our community, and holding ourselves to high ethical and legal standards. And my last intro slide, this is a little bit more about where I actually sit within our property organization in our development group, as I said, and we're kind of a specialized in-house development team working for actually a lot of different asset owners within Brookfield. So for example, if our retail group is looking to redevelop a mall, we would be brought in to help them build new apartment buildings on that site, for example. We also partner with other entities for public-private partnerships, things like that within certain cities around the country. And in alignment with Brookfield's ESG principles, we really strive to design and construct really innovative, sustainable assets for whoever our partner happens to be with any project.
Was that the right transition?
That's the right. I think you're up.
Great. Thank you. Thanks for that, Jill. So I think our role in the ecosystem of how projects get designed, developed, and constructed is really to play the role as an economist to provide an additional tool in the tool belts, essentially to denote using data-driven analysis, denote insights to make more informed decisions. And so really, for us, that's using economics and cost-benefit analysis to help answer some of the questions and the challenges that we hear in the market, which is shifting those conversations from questions around, what does investments in sustainability cost us to what are those investments worth? And should we do sustainability to how should we do it? And we believe that it's our role in the market to provide data and insights to help answer these questions in the most efficient, optimal, and credible way. And so really what we focus on our SaaS products are conducting cost-benefit analysis, or triple bottom line cost-benefit analysis, really different nomenclature for the world of ESG. It's the concept of denoting total value on projects and using best available empirical data, science, and economics to quantify and attribute monetary values to those impacts. So think of full life cycle cost analysis on different strategies to drive more sustainability, health and wellness, resilience, and equity across real estate, looking at that life cycle perspective, taking into account some of the broader, let's call it intents around design to drive occupant outcomes, to drive community benefits, and attribute the value to the owner, to occupants, and to the host communities in which these developments are being constructed. What we do essentially is take design strategies, looking at investments in energy efficiency, water conservation, indoor environmental quality, site design, and through peer-reviewed research, we have our team scouring the world constantly, looking at how do those design strategies convert into impacts, and how do we then quantify those impacts and monetize those impacts across the suite of triple bottom line or ESG outcomes. And really what we're doing is synthesizing that data across 5,000 municipalities in North America. So really we're using these analytics to make more sustainable, resilient, and healthy designs with less time, lower costs, by centralizing data into a business case tool. So gathering data to be able to create context-specific business cases across thousands of municipalities, looking at energy efficiency investments, how they drive impacts, what the implications are based on the local grid, water scarcity, wage rates, property values, all of those characteristics, and then use that to build the case so that we can drive stakeholder buy-in on projects. We can collaborate with all the different partners through a cloud-based tool, support decision-making on the design side, but then also on the outreach and engagement side as well, and being able to understand carbon implications throughout its life cycle and different design decisions. And so really on the use case perspective, we're helping in early stage planning to drive investments in sustainability and resilience. We're then using analytics on an iterative case to help compare and contrast and provide insights to the outcomes of different investments, and then ultimately to drive stakeholder engagement, communication, benchmarking, and credits within different systems such as Envision and LEAD as well. So I think for today, we're going to provide a bit of an overview as to our pilots and the different analysis done. I don't know, Jill, if you're able to share some insights around the 5 projects that we chose to pursue and conduct analysis on. I know
Sure.
I wasn't forewarning you onto this, but is there any
Sorry.
insight for
I can
why we
give.
chose these projects or anything else?
um, Yeah, so you'll see the first 3 projects are located in Pier 70, which is a large mixed-use development project in San Francisco, California. It's a historic site. In years ago, there was a shipbuilding and repair that took place there, so it's right on the water, and we're redeveloping that site with a lot of parks and open space, as well as office and residential, and some ground floor retail. So those are 3 projects there. We chose those because, the parcel A and parcel D that you see here are part of a broader horizontal, which we also chose, development. So it was interesting to see how those interplayed with each other. New Park is in California as well. It is a redevelopment of a shopping center. So we are redeveloping and repositioning that and building some multifamily apartment buildings on that site. And 755 Figueroa's in Los Angeles, and that is a new high-rise apartment building. California was an interesting choice for us because they have such strict building codes, both statewide and also in some of these localities. So it was just interesting to see how that affected our decisions.
Great. Thanks for that. And so I think, something to note here as well is that we have sort of these comparative cases denoted. So for Pier 70, existing land cover versus horizontal design. For parcel A, the existing design of a LEED Gold as compared to LEED Platinum. So the idea here is that we're comparing on an iterative basis the merits, so the costs and the benefits from one set of designs to the next to achieve some of the intended outcomes, maybe more sustainable, more resilient, more amenity laden. But ultimately, this analysis was really there to help better understand those trade-offs of benefits and costs. And so this first horizontal pilot really is about, as you guessed it, site infrastructure and the design, the amenities, stormwater, low-impact development spaces and concepts as part of the development. So really broken down into 3 phases, but looking at a set of investments that would be compared to the base case of a asphalt covered impervious surface across the whole site. So we're making investments in things like combined streets and a market square and these areas for people to interact and recreate, and vegetation that creates benefits to the community, manages stormwater, and really just a broad-based set of investments that we can see on the screen. And so really the goal is to build a business case for these investments in providing greater infiltration, providing cooling, and providing amenities for the residents of the development and the visitors towards it. And so when we take that long-term study period, in this case 40 years, and we compare and contrast those costs and the benefits across these co-benefit categories or multiple outcomes, we see throughout the 3 phases, we've got a total column on the far right, and we've got our impacts on the left-hand side, the costs, the benefits, and where they fit within financial, social, or environmental. Roughly $16 million in additional costs towards these different design aspects. But we can see here that we're driving substantially more benefits. When we look at the net results, roughly $24 million in net present value, and that is denoting net benefits here. So benefits exceed the costs quite substantially, where every dollar invested drives about $2.50 of additional net benefits. So substantial implications towards property value uplift as it relates to investments in green stormwater infrastructure and other amenities, additional recreation value through all these investments as well, in addition to carbon and air pollutant sequestration, reduction in pollutant loadings and flood risk from stormwater management and other implications that we see related to education and health improvement also. So quite significant ROI with that. And as I shift to the mixed use parcel, so in this case, a commercial facility within that site, the conversation changes to the value of the site, to the value of the additional investments made in going from LEED Gold and how this was designed to looking at interventions and designs that would drive it to LEED Platinum. So energy and water efficiency, additional ventilation rates, more daylighting, commissioning and carbon offset and rec investments. And so we can see here that from a built environment standpoint, a substantial set of investments as well that drove that net benefits here of roughly $24 million. So in this case, looking just at benefits, but substantial improvements to occupant productivity, health improvements, and a reduction in absenteeism as well. Jill?
Yeah, so I think just to wrap it up, we in Brookfield Development really see AutoCase as a tool that can help our development group accomplish two major things. One is to make really smart decisions during building design. You know, how can we use AutoCase to help us weigh the costs and benefits of different strategies to understand the near-term and long-term benefits and impacts of those, you know, not just to kind of standard metric measurements like net operating income or energy savings, but also the social impacts and environmental impacts to the greater community where we're building. And, you know, as the person within Brookfield Development who works on our corporate ESG reporting, it's also a great way to help measure those decisions that we're making and better communicate them to our stakeholders. You know, if we can measure this across several projects and roll it up, we can start to tell a really compelling story about, you know, metrics that are traditionally a little bit tricky to measure and put a value on. And if we can tell that story to the communities where we're working, to our investors and to other stakeholders, they can really understand and appreciate the value we're bringing to their communities. Anything else, Eric?
No, that's it on my end.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic. This is exactly the type of innovation that I think, especially in these times, a lot of real estate developers and owners are looking to understand that, right? That social ROI, the value of their impact. So this has been great. Thank you, Eric and Jill, for talking through that kind of data and economic informed decisions, talking through why real estate would be interested in doing this type of analysis. And Eric, kind of thinking historically for AutoCase, originally AutoCase didn't necessarily start this with real estate as your primary audience, right? It was more municipal, kind of city level infrastructure projects. How do you see the market changing now that real estate is coming into play?
Yeah, great question. And I think, you know, this analysis is deeply rooted in the world of regulatory and policy analysis and widely used in the infrastructure space. I think it's relatively new in terms of an analytical approach within the real estate space, but it lends itself incredibly well when we think of the implications that we have within the built environment, within the site, the benefits across those multiple attributes that we spoke to. So really, we saw a need in the market based on feedback and large-scale projects we were involved in that I think can speak to the intents of developers like Brookfield with creating benefits for their occupants, for the host communities, adding value all along the way. So it's been a great fit from a market standpoint.
That's fantastic. And Jill, I'm curious from your side of things as well, when sharing these numbers with decision makers and kind of financial, perhaps C-suite leadership folks at Brookfield, do they balk? Do they appreciate the numbers, right? This concept of social value, environmental value, it's new. So how are folks perceiving it?
I think it's well received. You know, you're right. It is a different way to look at things. You know, it's not the typical, you know, pro forma or whatever they're used to looking at when it comes to a development project. But look, you know, ESG is very important to Brookfield all across the business. And I think it's up to me and the others in the business who are managing it to figure out ways that we can track it and measure our performance when it comes to different aspects of ESG. And as A developer who doesn't actually own these assets, other entities within Brookfield own the assets and they'll be operating them long term. This during design and construction is really where I'm able to have that impact to carry on Brookfield's ESG principles. And so this is just a perfect way for me to be able to measure those and ensure that we're integrating them and operationalizing them through our process. And that is always well received by leadership.
That's great. Thanks, Jill. That makes a lot of sense. And one thing that I noticed as part of ULI's virtual fall meeting, we have some virtual tours, which is a new thing for us being in this virtual world. And one of the tours is of Pier 70. So folks paying attention, make sure and give that a look. I tried it out earlier. It's actually pretty neat, these virtual tours.
It's a very cool project.
Clearly, a lot of value. Quantified through our triple bottom line cost benefit analysis economists here. Well, with that, I want to say thank you to Jill and Eric for coming out today and talking about this triple bottom line cost benefit analysis for environmental, social, and financial value of these different projects and the sustainability components. So thank you again, and be well.